I don't think I was born with natural facility. I felt like with ballet, it was chasing someone that was low-key running away from me.
How do you feel that has shown up then in your professional life?
Man, in all the ways.
How do you also then sprinkle yourself into that?
If she hears this, I don't know if she will. She changed my life.
You book Broadway, now you have a full year to overthink and spiral.
Right? There were many jobs on the table when I got this offer. I just wanted to be like, I think it ties back to what I'm kicking it with, right?
Hello, welcome back. I wanted to take a quick moment to thank you so much for being here. Your support literally means way more than you will ever know. And good news, if you want to keep continuing to support the show, subscribing is completely free and it takes literally 3 seconds. This is the easiest way to support so we can keep growing, bringing in those amazing guests and just making the show better and better and better. So if you haven't yet, take a quick moment, subscribe below, and thank you so much. Let's get into the episode.
Welcome back to Kicking It Real. I'm here with Deanna Cudjoe, who has gone from training at University of North Carolina School of the Arts to dancing her way across Europe in West Side Story to debuting on Broadway and Smash, now to gearing up for her first principal role in A Chorus Line. What's even more inspiring than all that is her faith and trusting your timing, all while refusing to let one title or trait define her identity. So Deanna, welcome to Kicking It Real.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me, Gabby.
I'm so excited to be intruding on your extremely busy schedule right now. So thank you for coming on. I'm so pumped. We're going to just warm it up. What have you been kicking it with lately?
I've been kicking it with rest and like really knowing yourself. Like balance is so beautiful. Like I've been working really hard. We've all been working really hard in the studio. And I think when you allow yourself to have balance when it comes to, extra activities or watching something at the end of the day that has nothing to do with what you're working on, you reserve your tank so that you can go and give the best you can. So I've been kicking it with balance.
Do you feel like you have a certain way you like to rest, or does it change with the season that you're in? Like, because sometimes I need to completely just turn off and watch trash TV, and sometimes I'm like, okay, but I need to be kind of doing this on the side as I'm like quote unquote resting.
I'm in the process of like deciding and whether or not I'm counting this as rest, but I'm a big like verbal processor, and I feel like I haven't rested until I've processed. And so when I am on contract or when I'm home or if I'm in New York, which is home, I do FaceTime a lot. And I'm in a place right now where I'm like, okay, but is that taking time from actually just being a vegetable? So in this contract, I'm actually experimenting with that. I'm experimenting with, how much is it good to get a load off, but also like, what does it mean to just process on your own? Like, are you not processing on your own because you're afraid of like hearing your own thoughts? Question. Or are you actually, trying to connect and I'm here to report that it's been lovely. Again, I'm kicking it with balance because I really think there are days where I've allotted, like one day we ended rehearsal early and I caught up with a bunch of friends, and some other days I've just come right down to my little Cassie cave and I have just sat down. I've listened to music. I have laid down. I have doom scrolled. I have reviewed stuff. And I'm just keeping it real. Like, and it's been nice.
Yeah.
And it's nice. And I eat so many snacks, and I love no snacks.
No, so many snacks. That's so funny you say that because I remember something about New York too. I was always FaceTiming, and now I have to be like in the right mood because I've noticed you start to learn also just the people in your life. I don't know if you're like this where I'm like, you know what? Like this person's really going to give it to me real and I'm not quite ready to hear it yet. And not in a bad way where it's like, okay, like, let me actually think about what I want because I would take in everyone else's opinions instead of thinking about what I want.
But I'm a big believer of you can really only have balance if you're honest with yourself. Like I think to your point, depending on who you're calling and catching up, because also if you're calling a bunch of people, you're then repeating the same information. And at some point you get tired. And like, if I'm really honest with myself, if I don't want to hear something specific, I'm like, let me just hold off. And I've been loving my texts recently where I'm like, hey, I've seen this. We'll catch you later. Like, when I find a time, I'd love to like actually, chat instead of always just being like, yes, I'll put it down and like, talk right now. Cause then it's just a disservice to them too, because I'm not fully present.
Yes.
So
Yes.
being honest right now is like with myself
Oh,
has been a really, really beautiful, especially in this stage of life with this responsibility. I'm like, you have to know where you're at tank wise so that you can give.
so you can give. I love that. Okay, I could keep
Mhm.
going, but I won't with that. We'll keep
Okay.
moving.
Yeah.
Um, what are you kicking to the curb?
What am I kicking to the curb? Oh, well, all the things that don't serve me, like letting something bad or something that I wasn't a fan of happen in a day not determine my week or my life.
So hard.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
so many things happen in a week, in
So
a day,
many.
sorry. And so then you so much can change in the course of 20 minutes, 24 hours, 2 days. Like, I just think, again, this process specifically, maybe it's the fact that it's a contract that's, out of the city. It makes you kind of feel like you're on some sort of retreat. So I've been practicing new things and like front loading with a bunch of grace for myself so that if something happens or you crack or you forgot a line or I just didn't dance that as best as I wanted to.
Mhm. And it's like the caring, I feel like too, like the layers of one caring about your craft, maybe breaking perfectionism like a little bit. It's
Yeah.
probably a combination of that, but just like I'm the same way, especially with people specifically. If letting something that someone said or something I said that someone didn't perceive how I wanted them to
Mm.
or whatever, and I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
like feel it and move on. I love that because it can
Yeah.
become consuming.
I think that's the biggest thing. And also, oh, I was thinking of something funny, but like I've always hated olives, so like I'm always kicking olives to the curb. But like that's
I
just me.
hate olives too. They freak me out. Like I won't. I think I've accidentally had them. I've never like fully committed to trying them, but I don't
I
need to.
know
I need
they need to either be pickles or not, but I don't want to get into that.
no, we can. I love it. I'll always kick those to the curb with you. But we're gonna go back to origin life.
Mm,
You started ballet at 3, which I feel like maybe if people who don't know you would be surprising to where you're at today. And then
mm.
you went pre-pro at 10. So what did your days look like growing up training in ballet and the difference between like the 3 and up to then like 10 and up? And then also how did you know when to take that leap?
Oh, this is a cute story. I have 3 sisters and 1 brother. I'm smack dab in the middle of 5, and my parents are from Ghana. So, well, that's a detail that will come later. But like, there's 4 girls. What do you do but put them in ballet because there's
Of
just
course.
4 girls running around? We were all there. It really was just recreational, as people do from 3 to like 8 years old.
Mhm.
There was a really cute studio, Miss Morris's dance studio, and it was down the street, and we all went, and just all of a sudden, like at 8 we stopped going, and at least I was 8 at the time, and it was chill. Everybody was living their life, and I just remember it was like 2 years we didn't do it. I've always had a very like performative, like just personality, and my
Mhm.
sisters and I were always just very theatrical people. We would just like sing songs together and do all the things. I wasn't, I wasn't really thinking that deep. What I wanted to be when I grew up changed every 3 to 5 business days. Like I really wasn't, I was just a girl who just had a really big imagination. So we stopped going to ballet classes. And then like 2 years later, randomly I'm in our basement and I find like this beautiful, no, it was just a random book, but I think it was a beautiful memory.
It's
It
beautiful
was a
now.
it's beautiful now. Yeah. I think it was just this random ballet book, beginner ballet book, and it had all of the positions in it. And I remember holding it and being like, I can do this. I can do that. That looks so fun. And like, being a dancer, I don't even really know what that sensation was, but I just like was like, ooh, new obsession, unlocked. I'm ready. Let's go. I mean, I was on YouTube constantly. There was one YouTube channel. There's a company or school in California called Anaheim Ballet. Never been, never seen it. But their YouTube channel, they would post about their students all the time. They had Misty Copeland on one video once, and I just watched that like you wouldn't believe. And of course, like I said, like I would have a new dream every like, so often. And so everyone was like, oh, this is a phase, but like
Mhm.
ballet just like would not go away. And so I'm around 10 at this point. So I'm just like, watching these YouTube videos, and I'm just like so immersed into like what it means. And like ballet was just really like getting me. And I was obsessed with these YouTube videos. I taught myself all the steps because no one was really putting me in class until my mom was kind of like, okay, it's not really going away. So
Not
she
giving it
reaches
up.
out. She's not giving it up. So she reaches out to my old dance teacher, Miss Jean. Her studio had closed down at the time. She was getting a little too old to continue teaching, but she reaches out to her to be like, hey, like, where should I take Deanna? Which I'll always commend my mom on, like, which is kind of going back to the immigrant of it all. Like, my parents came here, and the world of arts was not something that they, obviously you see TV, you see the things, but that's not something that they were used to. So to have enough, not only curiosity, but humility to ask people. I see this in my kid. I actually don't know what to do. Like, what can she do? You have the knowledge. And my mom was just so open. I always commend my parents on their openness because she fought for me on my behalf. Like, she just saw my desire. And so she went to Miss Jean and she was like, where can Deanna go? Miss Jean is so funny. I always say, like, she had 2 studios she was considering. She goes, I can call one of 2 people. And it feels like if my life was a movie and this part of the movie like was happening, like depending on who she called, like I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now. Let's just say that. You know what I mean? Like
where
it
like
was
the audience is like, please pick this one. Please.
Right. Like this was kind of
yeah.
like the shift moment. Like I think, depending on whoever, like she ended up calling Eleanor Rogers from Still Point Ballet, formerly Still Point Studios. And that's where I stayed for the next like 8 years of my dance training. And that studio, that my Still Point family like changed my life. And it's like, if she had called the other teacher, like, I don't know if I'd be saying that right now. You know?
Yeah.
So she was like, call Eleanor. I think Deanna would work there, all the things. And so I ended up starting there. Then I was, taking ballet as an 11-year-old. Like now you're, this is not really something you just do because it's cute and recreational. You're taking it because you want to take ballet class after school for 3 days a week. My sisters weren't doing it. It was just me. So I was just really like, I was there and I just wanted to do it so bad. And I was just, the one Black girl and well, maybe at that time, in the whole studio and that stuff. I just didn't even realize that stuff until you keep going through the course and then you start taking it more seriously and you're realizing like, oh, like there's a way to be, and so then then the insecurity starts getting in your head. But at that time, it was very pure, and I was at a good studio filled with good people that were telling my parents, I think Deanna has a future here. And again, I can't really tell you when I was like, I have to be a dancer. But I just remember this one day I was in like a 4th arabesque, like a step to the side, like tendu arabesque. And I just remember like extending through my fingers being like, this is the best feeling. And I was like so young. I think I was like 11 or 12. And I was in my first recital dress and I was like, I love this. And I just continued training. I made friends there. And then it really hit the ground running, 13 to like 15. Like I was like really like, I'm on social media now. I have Instagram and I follow literally only ballet accounts and it's still like that today. And I can't really go through and like delete them all. But like sometimes I have the most random ballet accounts pop up because I followed them when I was 13.
Your algorithm is programmed.
Like it just won't change. And I'm not mad, but like it's kind of like, why do I have 3,000 people that I'm following? It's because I'm following a random ballet accounts from, Korea.
They probably don't even, half of them don't even work anymore. Yeah,
exactly. And I have tried, trust me. I have tried, but that is a whole thing. But yeah, I'm obsessed. Like I'm looking at, and you're seeing these incredible dancers. You're seeing YDP competitions. You're seeing young dancers. I start going to summer intensives at this time. I'm like going to Atlanta at ballet and I'm in the audition scene and I'm dancing now 5 times a week. And it's just the rigor. Like I was in it and you're obsessed. It's all you know. I wanted it so bad.
I know like have to. And I say that all the time to people. It's such an art form that is so physically and mentally demanding that if you don't love it with everything, like you just have to have that in you to pursue it. And I also wanted to touch on too, I loved what you kind of started talking about your mom, because recently I have been getting so many like messages and things like my daughter's in dance and like she wants to do this and like what do I do? And I feel like we're in a time, especially now, where there's so much access to information, but at the same token sometimes that's overwhelming because it's how do you sift through what the right thing is. And you mentioned going to summer intensives and starting
Yeah.
to do more with your training than just going to your studio.
Hmm.
What did your mom keep doing, or was it all your research? Because I think another important piece is that it doesn't sound like she was ever forcing anything on you, right? You were like, okay,
Never.
actually, I'm taking note of my child and she
Hmm.
loves this. Like, how can I help her versus how can I make her be the best? Like, how can I help her explore her passion? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I did not have the experience of a helicopter mom. I don't even mean that to be derogatory. I just
Right.
mean in the sense that like my mom was like, you want this? Okay, you gonna read the emails. I forwarded all the emails to myself, like, and then I would show her what I was looking at. Like, and
Mhm.
I was a very independent kid. I am a very independent person. So like when I am obsessed or when I want something, like I got you. I got all the details. I know when we're supposed to be at the theater. I know when we're supposed to do this. I just think what my mom did, she just kept saying yes. And because she didn't hold on to it so tightly because she knew I was holding on to it tightly, then that gave me the space to kind of be in her hands. And then she could hold me however she needed to, if
Mm.
that makes sense. Like if I ever was like, I can't do this, she didn't hold on to it that far to be like, oh, but you need to do this and you need to push through. She would have been like, okay, because it's coming from you. And if I
Mhm.
was like, I want to be the best, she had space to be like, and you can be the best that you can be, you
Yes.
know? So
Yes.
she just held to it. And my mom is a woman of faith too. So she really just was like, I cannot sit here and deny what's been given to you. And if I don't know, clearly it's been given from something higher than me because girl, I'm not in this. Like, and I think that is such a beautiful, and I think I can say this, but my teacher, Miss Rogers, she was always like, I loved your mom. Like she's so calm, you know, because I think she just really trusted and believed that like whatever I needed to do, it would come from me. But I would always have support from her.
But also just like that trust in you as
Hmm.
a kid, and
Yeah.
that like follows you into your adult life and probably speaks to a lot of your success now, which I always credit
Yeah.
my mom similarly, where I'm like, I never was forced to do things, but it was always
Hmm.
like, I love like the holding space of like,
Yeah.
let me sit with you with this. And like, yes, maybe this feels unfair, but like, you can do it, whatever you want to do in life, which I
Hmm.
think is just really listening to people. But
Yeah.
I did my best to research this, but I know you moved to Utah when you were 17.
Whoo, yeah, girl.
You were expecting to be doing the Ballet West trainee program. Did you have to be 18 to get into that?
No, actually. So I did YGP for I think. Oh, see, now
Flex.
I should have. What's the word? Researched myself, but I can't remember. I did it for like I think I did it 3 times. First time scared out of my mind, but it was good exposure thing. Like it was just like, you know, the first time you're a little fish in a big pond, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like you're
Yeah.
with the girls that you watched on YouTube. I mean, just and let me also say I won ballet so bad, but I don't think I was born with natural facility. Like I wasn't. My feet could not for the life of me be where I wanted them to be. I'm not a naturally flexible person.
Mhm.
So it was like I felt like with ballet, it was kind of a love that it was like chasing someone that was low key running away from me.
Yeah.
But and I think I found a way to embrace it, and I think it found a way to embrace me later on, depending on how I looked at it. When I was in those competition spaces, it was very like revealing, and I would come home and be like, I have so much to work on, you know, and I would just like
Mhm.
put my head down and go, go, go. But so I did YGP. So that my last year I was a junior. So I was 16 going 17 and scholarships would go out. And I never went to finals. I think what happened that year is I made top 25. And that was the most, I was so like, I felt like so accomplished. I was like, that's really what I wanted. Like it was just the farthest I had gone. And
Mhm.
from there, Adam Skloot, he was the director of Ballet West at the time. He, you know, they give you scores or whatever. And I was offered a partial scholarship to their summer intensive. Then I went to the summer and they ended up at the summer intensive giving me an invitation to come to the professional training division.
Okay.
So it was kind of like I went there for the summer, then I went there. And I had gone to so many summer intensives as the years have gone on. And again, I can't ever remember the order, but this was going into my senior year of high school. That summer, I'd gone to Ballet West. Then they had auditions for their professional training division and I got in. And I was like, this is the step I need if I go they like tall dancers. I can go, I can become a trainee, and then I'll be in the company. Boom, bam, boom, guys,
We
we're
all have to
good.
we're going to make the plan. And of course, it's going to go how we plan it. Yes.
Of course. I was like, guys, like, don't even stress. I've been working towards this. It's gonna be okay. And I left for a year. And again, I believe everything, everything serves you. And I learned a lot about so many things. I think on one hand, like, you do ballet. We did sometimes 2 ballet classes a day in one day. Like, we were dancing all the time. I was living on my own for the first time. I was living with 3 other girls, one of which I'm really still good friends with today. We lived in an apartment complex together. Again, I keep bringing up, like, being the only Black girl in such a white space, in such a place that is pretty homogenous in that way. Like, I had to wrestle with a lot of identity, and that was one of the hardest times I've had as an individual. What came out of me from that was, I think, the start of everything that I am right now. Like, I just really had to learn how to be in love with everything I am when you feel like you are isolated in that way. And again, the program, great. Like, I mean, I danced so much. Again, I just wanted to be in a place where I could dance,
Yeah.
but I was dancing with a lot of anxiety because I was just trying to be everything that everybody wanted me to be.
Yeah. And it comes out like that energy, like fear, anxiety, like insecurity,
Oof,
like comes out more than I think we realize even in the moment. Or like
for sure.
even then, like you think that you're giving out, you're like, no, I'm not anxious. And then it's like, no, but I can see it, which is
Right.
like a cool thing. But also when it's good things that are coming out of you, it's
Right. It's
exciting.
kind of like any, coming of age movie. Like, you're just young, like you're a kid. Like, so you're going to go through the awkward stage. You're going to go through the stage where you want to be just like everyone else. Like, there was one night
Mhm.
I came home and it was so sweet. The one friend that I mentioned, she had brought me falafel from this like fast food place that was next to us. And because I think I left class early because I think I probably had like a little, like a breakdown. And I was just crying. I was like, I am just not enough. I hate that I'm different. I hate that I look different. I hate that I'm not flexible. I hate that I want it so bad, and because I want it so bad, I wasn't born with the things that make me naturally good at this. It was so sad. It was the time I just felt like I had this like awakening inside of me, and I felt like God was like telling me, like, Deanna, you're going to have to understand that you as you are, there's so much inside of you that you cannot allow to happen because you're so bent on what you don't have. And I remember, like, I just kind of had that like moment, and then I came to class the next day kind of being like, well, whatever, like this is what I got going on. And I had a teacher at the end of class when we were all doing our little curtsies and saying thank you. She was like, whatever you did today, do it again. She's like, you're dancing differently. And it had just been because the day before I was like, yeah, I just like, I guess I have to stop caring. And it
It,
was crazy. I was like, okay, that eats.
but it's something you hear all the time and people have their own versions of it and who
Mm-hmm.
have gone on to do it professionally. It's like 9 times out of 10, everyone's like, oh, I just stopped caring and I released a little bit and like let it
Right.
be. And then that's when I booked the job or when I had the epiphany or
Right.
where I did what was best for me. When you were growing up and you were
Mm-hmm.
saying you didn't place at things and, it didn't work out exactly how you wanted it to, I know it was difficult, but through it, how did you not let that get you down and instead you used it as fuel to keep going? You had all your YGPs and weren't the
Right.
best, but you still were like, no, I'm going to keep doing this because I see that a lot nowadays too, where people are, well, I'm not the best and I don't have the facility and I don't have this. And they like let that make them stop instead of using it.
Right. Well, that's kind of, I know I'm talking about a lot of inner strength that I found. I think it comes from people who are outside of you. Like I said, like my instructor never looked at me and was like, I just don't think you got it, Deanna. But like, it's cute to watch you go. Like, she believed in me. My mom, my parents, my mom and dad, my sisters, my siblings, like they believed in me. Like they were like, you're good. Like, I know that's the whole thing about going to class. You're just trying to get better. And so
Yeah.
then I was like, when I didn't, and again, I never expected to place a YGP, literally ever. And so I think I would just go to be like, okay, next time I go, I'm going to try to do this. I'd have mini goals for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I looking back, I'm like, that was like really healthy because it's kind of like when you think about like how we were able to go to school for that many hours when we were younger and like without any naps. Like, I'm like, how the heck did I do that?
I
And
say that all the time. I'm like,
you
what?
know,
How are we doing that? They say
how
energy is
did I
wasted on the
do
youth.
that? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow, like, Deanna, you for a kid that, was still finding herself, you really had a beautiful sense of resilience. But I think that's ballet at its core, no? Like, it's just a discipline that you get that's like, regardless of what happened the day before, I know I got two demis and a grand first, second, fifth tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
So it was just very much like, well, I'll just try again tomorrow. And nobody else, like my community was saying you can. That's also really
Yes.
important.
I think so too. And I agree with you. And I know you share this belief of how much your environment shapes literally your entire life, and just taking note of who you're surrounding yourself with. And
Yeah.
I think it's just a feeling you have to trust too. I'm lucky like you were, like I didn't have to switch studios. Like I grew up in a very healthy environment,
Yeah.
but you see it a lot now where it's like, should I like leave studios or should I do this? And it's just like, if
Yeah.
you're not feeling supported, which is different than not like getting everything you want and think you deserve.
Right.
Like there's a
Oh,
fine
and
line.
trust. I have this beautiful famous story of like I'm young and I'm like doing something. I thought I ate that variation up. I thought I was literally like, oh my God, Maria Kachikova, who like that I was so good. My teacher looks at me and was like, that was bad. like
With
and
love.
out of all with all the love. And I remember my mom was in the car and I was crying and she's like, well, was it good? And I was like, well, no. And she goes, okay. Then
Like,
trust your teacher.
like it's not, doesn't mean it's like a bad thing, which is a great
Right.
transition into kind of pivoting from what you
Yeah.
thought you were going to do in your plan and going to school and doing all that. And now you can look back and be like, okay, that wasn't rejection, it was redirection.
100%.
When did you feel like you actually felt that and believed it versus like what it felt in the moment in your inner world?
So that was like all the ballet stuff, right? Like that's when ballet was my whole life. So when I didn't become a trainee, because then at the end of the year they were like, okay, here's who was accepted trainees. When I didn't become a trainee, I was like, oh, well, I guess you got to go to like the buffer thing, which is college. Like I just had such a like small-minded view of what it meant to be successful. Like I just in my spirit was like, if I do not become a professional ballet dancer, I have failed. So great, I'll just go to quote unquote college and get really good on like, at my technique and then come back. I didn't want to stay in Utah. So I auditioned for the University of Utah and UNCSA. And I was hoping to go to UNCSA because it was closer and also like it just seemed like it was more my vibe. So then I left Utah and I went to school. It's all the things that, ballet does. It's just you're constantly doing it and you're constantly working hard and you're up against people who want it too, who have it naturally, who don't have it naturally. I saw so many dancers who just using what they had and it was so good. And I was like, oh my gosh, wait, like that is really good, but how do I unlock that? Do the first 2 years and like I'm just working really hard. I actually got waitlisted for ballet and then got accepted into contemporary program and then asked to switch when I got there because I just wanted to go there. Like I said, ballet had this relationship with me where it just felt like it was constantly running away from me, but my younger self inspires me with how much I kept going for it. So then COVID happened actually at UNCSA. Now UNCSA is a very small school. It's only 5 schools of study, like dance, drama, design, and production. Oh God, music and film. So it was a very small campus and I was just surrounded by so many artists. And because I had already lived on my own the year before, I wasn't really spending time doing what a lot of people do, was just like figuring out how to be alone. I kind of already done that. So I knew that, you know what, Deanna, I'm not going to live with dancers. I'm going to live with people who do different disciplines. Like my roommate's going to be someone else. I lived with a filmmaker. I was friends with the film majors. I was friends with the musicians. I was friends with the drama students. And I was just like feeling like I was becoming more of a person and not just having my life only be what I've known. And so I kind of let that infuse like my dancing. And, if things were hard, I was holding on to it too tight. And, story for another time, like I got a stress fracture in my shin and I couldn't dance. And so I had to put my attention into putting things in different creative outlets. And I would talk to other students and I would fall in love with different art forms. I would be models in people's films. I would, act in things. And I was just like, I loved it. But again, I was like, no, I'm going to be a ballerina, but this is just like extra. And yeah, like it was a lot
you really held on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When COVID happened, that's when everything stopped and like we had gone home for a little bit and I was doing ballet at home because, that was my major. So I was just doing ballet in my living room. I just remember when we came back, we had masks, we were doing all the distancing, we were doing everything. We were just taking class. We weren't performing. And at that point I was like, "Oh, you guys." Like, I just remember being so, because 'cause you're just constantly in class with people, with teachers and people telling you, like, "This is what's wrong with what you're doing. This is what's wrong with what you're doing." And
Feels
you're
like
just
you're not
trying.
really working towards anything. I feel like
Yeah.
class is fun when you're like, "Oh, yeah, like, I have a performance coming up," especially in college,
Right.
in that bubble. You're like,
Right.
"What am I doing this for?" Yeah.
100%. I was just like, "Oh god, like I really, really want to." This is what I do it for. I do it to perform because I think that's where I shine the most. Like my thing, and I think what kept me in the room with ballet was so long was I am really a performer at heart. Like
Mhm.
that's why the natural, gift things weren't such a big deal because people loved watching me perform. And so when I wasn't doing that, I was just like, whatever. So like I'm still there. I'm still doing class. I'm showing up, but I'm like, talking to my friends again and, auditing drama classes, seeing things, like watching shows, being in people's films. And I had free time to be in a friend's fourth year film, which is like a big thing. And I auditioned for it and I got the lead. Then my now manager was an alumni of UNCSA. He came to do a project called Swan Lake Canceled. And he was like, I want to do a cute little like satire film with the dancers about like what it's like to not perform. And he had auditions and I like wasn't gonna do it. Then the last day happened. I was like, oh, let me send a tape. I got the lead. And he talked to me after I got the thing. We were in rehearsal because we would rehearse on Zoom and he was like, you're really good at like telling stories and like acting. And I was like, oh, thanks. Like it feels like very natural because again, I'm really big on performing. And then later that summer, so now things are starting to open up again. Summer intensives are going. I was like, you go to a ballet summer intensive every year and then you go to school for 9 months to do another ballet summer intensive. Maybe we do a different type of summer intensive, you know?
Wow.
And I applied for a grant and I got the grant to like do a 3-week intensive, theater jazz intensive at Steps. Because I was like, you know what, Deanna? A lot of people have told you you have a knack for that. You
Mhm.
also have always known deep down something about musical theater. Like when you're at the ballet intensives and they're like, we're going to do the extra class today is a musical theater class. I just feel so relaxed. I'd be like, okay, I feel like I'm enough for this. I'm enough in this.
Mm.
And I remember just like always in the back of my mind being like, oh, it'll be a supplemental thing. It'll be my plan B. Or I'll do it when, I've done ballet. It just always was coming after ballet. So I thought to myself, let's just actually see if this works. Let's go to the intensive, see if you're actually good at it, and we'll go. And I loved it. And I had such great feedback, and people were like, "Oh my God, you have a great voice. You have such a beautiful, natural, approach to bringing yourself to characters." And I was like, "Oh my God, great." And
Thanks.
so then I was like, I'm having an identity crisis, just a little bit. Let me go back to school. And I was in counseling at the time. I'm very grateful. Thank you, free counseling in college. And she said something to me and I'll never forget, she was just like, why do you feel like you have to be a ballerina? Wouldn't it make sense if you already knew that you were one? Like, I think she just like released me of this idea. She's like, I don't even think you're trying to do it because you want to be a ballet dancer. I think you want to do it because you want to show yourself that you could.
The
But you
chills I
are
have right now.
right. Like,
Not
she
to
was
cut
like,
you off.
no, please, please. Like she literally was like, I think you do it already at such a proficient level. It is not an easy school to A, get into, B, transfer into, and C, like maintain your way through. You are on the highest level of school at the in the conservatory. I mean, I had teachers tell me to my face, like, I just don't think this is for you. And yet, again, similar to what I discovered in Utah, this idea of, okay, I can't really care about what you think. And once I had that revelation, like I think it was my freshman year or in my sophomore year, I started getting cast in main stage performances. I was doing ballet at a very high proficient level because I was like really sinking into myself. I started wearing brown tights. I cut my hair because it was so damaged from doing buns. Like I just really stopped caring about people. I started, I was a very full person. They would start to ask me to like do interviews for the School of Dance and talk about my experience because I think I was just a very, I wasn't afraid of being on camera. I wasn't a very
Mhm.
shy dancer. And so, people were like, Dana's just very multifaceted in that way. But I still was holding on to ballet in a way to just prove that everything that I had done was worth it. Like I had gone all the way to Utah. I had spent my years and my time. And she was like, I think you're already a ballerina.
Ugh. I
When
just
I,
like the way she said, like, you were already it. Like, I think that's the missing. If she were to have said, like, you're just trying to prove this to yourself, like, that doesn't
Mhm.
like quite hit the same.
It changed my life. I haven't seen her since, but if she hears this, I don't know if she will. She changed my life.
I love
Go.
too, like all of it. Like you struggle in ballet, everything feels like it's working against you. And then you literally, like, let me go try to do this. And it works. The
Mhm.
lack of friction is
Yes,
such a
yes,
sign that,
yes.
like, not to
Mhm.
say that you needed the ballet to like get you to that point. You can't just like walk in and be like
100%.
whatever. But like
100%.
how inspiring though to just know that I've been trying to lean into this a little bit more too in my own life in different ways outside of dance of like what is right and meant for you is not necessarily going to be easy, but it shouldn't feel like resistance and friction and like
Mm,
bad, like bringing up so much. Like it's going to be still a roller coaster, but you're just like, okay,
yeah.
let me actually lean into this instead of trying to like prove to myself.
Because especially as a, here I'm now, 26, I'm like, yeah, I also want to be happy. I was never going to be happy in the ballet company. I just personally don't think that for myself. That
Mm-hmm.
being said, if it was not for the from 11 to 22 serious ballet training, like if it was not for all of those intense, foundational, beautiful years of dedicating myself to that craft, I could not be the dancer that I am today. I don't think I would have been able to flourish the way that I am in any other type of environment because I had realized that I love to act more earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think it had to be this because ballet has just become we have such a beautiful relationship now. I love watching it. I love doing it because there's no expectation connected
Mm.
to it. And like,
Yes.
she just released me. And so then now it's time for senior year. I remember it was just a beautiful, the end of the year and at the fourth year films at UNCSA, they put everyone's poster up on the side of the film building, very big. And my face was on it because I had done a film the night before, the year before that they were showing, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
it was that year. I was on the wall for that. I was on these main stage shows for my ballet school and my heart was open to audition for now. I had gone to the summer intensive, the theater jazz one. I had made the connection I had emailed my now manager, the guy who came to do the Swan Lake
Mm-hmm.
canceled. And I was like, hey, hear me out. I'm considering like, you know, going going a musical theater route, but I'm modestly like I'm not throwing everything away. I'm still going to send tapes out to ballet companies, but if you could
Mm-hmm.
just help me on how to do this. Again, I have gone nowhere alone. His generosity, his openness, he put down his time to like just write me out like advice, and we had just become, he'd been like a pen pal to me. Like he'd just be a cheerleader because he had worked with me. We had like a supplemental class our senior year. We had one semester free. So I took acting for dancers. And I was in a drama class with Maggie Anderson. And I mean, and so funny. She's like, pick a monologue and for the class and we'll do it. And I did Cassie's monologue from a chorus line. I know. I know. I texted her when I got this job because I was like, you wouldn't even believe, oh, I get teary eyed. Like, I did Cassie's monologue. She was growing it with me and she was like, you got it. And it was from there. I had COVID in the beginning of that semester. So I took that semester, my second semester of senior year.
Senior.
So now we're like, I've made my audition tape. Like I'm trying to start sending things out. I get sick. I'm in quarantine because of the summer intensive that I had gone to for theater jazz. I had Jason Stiers, casting director, did a talk with us randomly. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know me. I don't know him. We all had masks on. And
Back.
I followed him from there. And he was talking about, this is how you find auditions without an agent. You go on Playbill. So I'm in quarantine. I've got time, whatever. I'm open to auditioning for everything. Scary still, but I'm open. I go on Playbill. I see that Phantom and Aladdin are looking for dancers. I was like, Phantom, of course. That's an easy,
Bridge.
bridge.
Transition.
Unfortunately, they wanted people 5'2" and under. I'm not.
How
And
tall are you?
so I'm 5'8".
Yeah, that won't work.
So, and it was either I was going to be a dancer or a Hannibal. And I said, you know what? Let's see what Aladdin has to offer. And so I, I go and I was like, okay, I can learn this audition combo. And it was the time where, people were really sending out videos because nobody was really doing in-person
Mm-hmm.
auditions at the forefront. Mind you, this is my first one, right? Oh no, I've sent things to here and there, but I hadn't really heard anything. I auditioned for American Paris, like I didn't hear anything. So I'm thinking this is a really like shot in the dark.
Yeah.
I learned the combo in quarantine. I get out of quarantine. I film that audition. I'm finishing up my ballet audition. I have the tape. I put it on YouTube for ballet companies. And then I went to the studio and I recorded the audition combo. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name of the show, actually. So maybe you get the gist.
A show.
This show. I'm in the acting for dancers class. I'm like eating it up. I love it. I'm like, gosh, I love acting class. It's so fun. And I get an email. And I genuinely think it's an ad for Disney World because I've never seen a callback email before. And I don't have an agent. So no one's talking to me. No one's going with me. I was like, oh my God, like, what does this mean? I open it and I was like, we would like to see you in New York on whatever date. I paint all these people, and I know I've kind of gone a roundabout way of talking about all this, but like everybody that I have met along the way, I reached out to them and I talked to my manager, and I was like, Garen, like I got this email. He goes, this is what it means. This is what you'll need to bring. And I had just learned what a 16-bar cut was at the Theater Jazz Intensive. I did a mock audition there, so I knew what it was going to kind of entail. Maggie was like, you might get cut, but that's okay. It was such an amazing opportunity to get there.
Yeah.
I'm like prepping to like just like be done in like 2 seconds. I go audition. They keep me. Okay, work. I got to go sing. In all honesty, I only had one song in there that I knew. Everything else was there to make the book look big. Like I just sang what I sang, and they wanted to hear more, and I just wasn't prepped for more. I was told that like they're gonna only see a little bit, but they started seeing something in me, and then they kept calling me back and calling
Even though
me
you
back.
had nothing prepped?
Well, I had my song. Then for the callbacks, they would give me material.
They
For
gave
the
you the materials. I was like, okay,
ensemble
great.
material, you know.
You're just like, let me just like pretend I know this song and sing it.
Luckily, it was so funny in the audition. And of course, auditioning, like theater etiquette is different than ballet etiquette. So like I'm in the room with these girls who are just asking questions without raising their hands. I'm like, is everyone okay? Like, oh my God, everyone's dancing so big and so full and so individually. I thought I just was like, this is incredible and also so terrifying.
Yeah.
But again, like I was also just feeling so enough. Like, isn't that crazy? Like in that moment for something I didn't really know about, I felt enough. All this to say, like, you know, I just kept getting called back, and I get called back. And then because I met this person, then this person was like, oh, hey, can you come audition for this? Garen, who was helping me out, he was connecting me with this person. Hey, you'd be interested in signing Deanna. Da, 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 da. I was meeting all these people. I kept going back and forth to New York my senior year. I thought I was going to get this specific show. And I thought, oh my God, like I sent one ballet audition video tape out. And I was just so preoccupied with how far musical theater was taking off that I couldn't even believe that I was considering something else.
Wow.
But I was finishing my ballet degree, and I was so proud of myself. And I thought I was definitely going to be on this tour. I was like, I'm going to book it. I'm going to book it. Like literally, like I'm going to be in this show. Graduation was on Friday. On Wednesday, I reached out to them after my final. I think it was like a couple weeks before. I was like, hi, just checking in, because, you know, no one's following up for me. I had to do it myself. And they were like, it didn't go your way this time. And I was like, oh my God, so what happens now? But I still graduate with the huge smile on my face, because I was just so amazed and in my spirit, so happy that I like found this path unintentionally.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, okay, we just keep going. I go home for the next 3 weeks. I do the same thing I was doing at the end of senior year. I just send out tapes. And because I followed Jason Stiers 2 summers prior, or maybe the summer prior, he on his Instagram that day, I like opened Instagram and I saw International Tour West Side Story submission videos happening now. And I saw it and I closed it. I was like, no, that seems fun. But I was like, oh, but I don't know if that's, you know, that's just early for me. I show my best friend and she's like, Deanna, you have to. They're going to like Vienna and Paris and Japan. I was like, okay, yeah, why not? Like you miss all the shots you don't take.
Right.
I send in a tape, go to the next round and do it in person. And like in a quick week and a half later, and again, back to just the shout out to the people that like let me into their spaces in New York, like just the community of people letting you stay with them is just another version of people saying, I see you. I want you to do this. I believe in you. That is the only reason I was able to just like really truly do these actions on faith, because people around me, Garen, Maggie, you know, Grace, and so many people in my life that were like, you can do this. People paid for my tickets to go to New York. Like,
That is
I didn't
crazy.
have
Yeah.
money. A week and a half later, I get the offer.
Then and then you're like, okay, we're going to tour.
We're going to
I
tour.
think there's like something to be said though, because as I'm listening to you just explaining the like roller coaster that is your college experience, maybe you recognize this now, but I feel like probably a lot of people saw your hunger and your openness, which I think is
Mm.
so rare to like
Mm.
be able to pivot, because myself included, I feel like it's really easy to like have this big dream, right? Like being in a ballet company, being a rockette,
Yeah.
whatever. Sometimes that like does not work out for whatever reason,
Yeah.
mostly because it was not meant for you, but like obviously
Mm-hmm.
that's very hard to see and
Swallow.
understand. But you were just like, hey, let me actually follow this other thing and do it kind of fearlessly, which I think is extremely rare, which I am now inspired. I know you mentioned this of a little bit of the, like the naivety around it of like, I don't know,
Yeah.
I'm just going. Do you think
Yeah.
that in terms of the musical theater route helped you in the beginning, especially everything's typecasted in like the dance world, but
Yeah.
specifically musical theater as well?
Yeah.
Did that kind of help you of like, I don't really know, I'm just gonna go, and it maybe landed you more opportunities than if you didn't have those like rose-colored glasses on?
Yeah, 1000%. I've talked to friends who are in musical theater school who told me like, yeah, my teachers told me I was the ingenue. So that's what I've honed in on.
Mhm.
I'm the comedic relief. I'm this person. I'm this person. Because I just really didn't know. I was like learning in real time. Like I was just like, go based off what people say makes you shine, which is just being you, right? Like
Mm.
just go and do you. And it's like the more I learn now, the more I like yearn for when I didn't know,
Yeah.
and like the fearlessness that I had because I didn't know what was right. I'll walk into any call because I think that my spirit, not necessarily my look, works
Mhm.
for what you're calling
You can
for.
morph it a little bit. Yeah, like I
I
can bring myself into whatever character you need me to be in
right.
theory.
I did the tour, whatever, and I came back, and I think the next job that I booked was doing my best friend's wedding at a Gunkwit. And there's a new musical, they're bringing it there. And again, I think there is a very like, people have an expectation for you just by you walking into the room. They're going to assume you are a certain type because of how you look. The character that I ended up covering was quirky, goofy, soft and funny. Cause I think that's what I think you have to go based on who can tell the story best, not based on who looks like who you had in mind, you know? And like the way that show was cast and the way they brought people in, it was so beautifully diverse. And when we started working, I was like, yeah, it's based on who can tell the story best. And I think that is what I crave for our industry now. And what I implore people to do is like, don't let anybody tell you who you're supposed to play. If you feel a pull to tell the story with honesty and with effect, then go for it, right? Like
Mhm.
even auditioning for a chorus line, I thought I was auditioning for Sheila because that's what I've seen. And I get caught in the trap too, for sure. I really was not sitting there like, oh, they're going to do a Black Cassie because I just didn't know if that was the plan. And, sometimes then you get into situations where you're kind of like, oh, is this a publicity thing or what? Do they actually believe it?
And
But
me.
this, and me and
Yeah.
this team, like, I think I went in there just because they had given me material like the day before for my final. And I remember just being like, oh, yeah, I'm happy to, show range. I've been singing pretty low. So maybe they want to see more. And I just brought myself because I didn't have an expectation that they were actually serious. And so when I went in there, I just another testament to like that naivete of it all, just going and bringing your all, because then people crave that and they don't really know how to put that into words. And so when you're able to come in and just be yourself, people will trust that you have the ability to do it justice. And
Yes.
and when they gave me this opportunity, I was like, I felt that. Like, I'm just so grateful. And I hope that people don't get caught in the trap of because you learned this in school. And now, similar to ballet, if you think that you have to do XYZ in order to get somewhere, you're going to be so caught up in not being able to like do XYZ. There are a lot of
Mhm.
ways to get places. And I think, again, back to the thread of the openness with my mom and the thread of the openness with myself, being open to try other things. You have to be open when it comes to what it is you want in your craft and what it is that you believe that you can do.
1,000%. Like, that is such a good point of the different ways to get somewhere too, because I think we have such an like instant gratification type of society where it's like, well, like, how did you do it?
Yeah.
And then people are trying to like emulate like exactly, I got to go to that school and then I have to start with ballet and then I have to go to musical. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, listen to people, take what is going to work for you and leave the rest. And I don't know if you can specifically answer this, but I love how you talk about bringing yourself to roles. And I think it is way more common than anyone thinks of like, okay, Cassie has a certain criteria, a certain look, like how can I be her? So how do you go approach auditions or just roles in general to where you're like, okay, like I understand I am playing a character and there are parameters, but like how do you also then sprinkle yourself and your uniqueness into that role?
I can speak on two ways, like in the sense of an audition or in the sense of work, like in a show. You definitely read the material. You read it. I do consider what has been. Like I have this beautiful book about Donna McKechnie here, and I love reading about her life and her journey. Like I want to know what was. I want to know what the blueprint that we're going off of it is, and then acknowledging that you yourself are another individual person. So then you kind of, as you learn the material as is, you just kind of see what naturally happens. And like right now, I'm just kind of like seeing, okay, this is what Deanna does. But then how do we not make this, just about Deanna? How do we make this true about the character? And so I just kind of let it naturally flow. And so like with auditions, you get the material and kind of similar to like singing, right? Like singing is so vulnerable and singing became, a scary thing because I was just now instead of doing it for fun, now I'm thinking about the technique of it all and the vocal gymnastics that are Broadway. I'm like, God, like, I don't know if I do this. I had a teacher be like, Deanna, you have to sing as you. And I was like, you're right, Marianne. Like I do. And I think it's really important to take that into, and I was like, totally forgot. Like when I got off the tour, then like I moved to New York. I lived in Long Island with my family because it was cheaper that way. And like I would go back and forth. And I booked Smash that summer, but Smash wasn't starting until the next year. And so, my brain's now prepping for this Broadway, for this dream that actually like, I didn't even know that I wanted so bad. I could not believe that I had achieved that. And I was like so determined to get there and like make sure nobody knew that I was so green. And like, I thought that was going to be so, oh my gosh. And as I went through that experience, I just more and more realized that you being you, similar to you being you in the work that you do, in the art that you make, could not be more essential for being happy in this career. They hired me to bring me, especially when you're in an ensemble moment, like they really are auditioning you. Like they want to see you and what you're going to bring to the character that you're going to create in the bubble that is in the back. Right. And so, because there really isn't anything you're kind of going off of specifically. And that was such a big lesson.
I specifically obviously look through it from a Rockette lens of where you're trying to blend and you're trying to be like 36 other women, but at the same token, especially at an audition, you can't. What makes you stand out though? Because if you blend too much, but it really applies to everything, and that trust and just like for me being on the other side of that part of my career too, I'm like, gosh, I wish I was having these conversations earlier. It's like we all are thinking it and feeling it of like, I want to fit in, but we don't realize oftentimes in the moment that the way you fit in is by just being yourself and not worrying about what you're supposed to be. And just like
you'd be amazed at how many people say yes. Like honestly, sometimes I sit down and I'm like, whoa, you guys really want that? Like, because I really wasn't thinking too hard. Obviously I'm working and obviously everything is work. Nothing comes easy. And if I was just playing myself, then I'm not playing characters.
Well, it'd almost be harder to play yourself sometimes because you're just like, wait, what would I say? What would I do? But it's like,
what am I doing?
Yeah.
When you are being yourself, you trust yourself. You trust the choices that you make. You trust that I have an idea and I'm just going to go for it. And it might be totally not what you're looking for, but hey, she went for it. Or it might be totally like, I wasn't thinking that, but like, I could be down with that, you know?
Like, let's like iterate that a little bit and like steal some, like get inspiration from that.
Yeah. The best performers I've ever seen are people that I'm like, I would not even think of that. And I watch people just go up there. When I see people and you can actually see them take their moment up on stage, that's them. yes, they're playing a character. Yes, they're seeing lyrics that are written and they have memorized and they have practiced and they have rehearsed. But when you watch someone on stage, like get that like hungry thing in their eye and they're just performing from within, that's what I'm talking about. Like when you
Mhm.
see somebody commit to taking their moment and being a theater kid at heart, that's being you.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like being fearless almost,
Yeah.
which I didn't even know I was going to make this segue. But speaking of fear, we all have it. But I know you
Me
feel
too.
we all have it, but you have the sense of fear. You've talked about how it has shown up in a way where you often feel not ready. And I totally agree with your point about not having time to overthink it is so much more
Mhm.
helpful because then you don't start to spiral. But I feel like
Right.
specifically with how this contract went, you booked Broadway, now you have a full year to overthink and spiral
Right.
and have
Right.
fear. Did you feel that show up in this situation? Was it like the most intense, or are there other pivotal moments throughout your life so far that have been like overcoming that fear of not being ready or enough?
Smash was a year. I think I had booked it in July and I'd started in January. So that was a lot of time
That's a lot
to
of time.
overthink.
Yeah.
And the chorus line was only a couple months, but Smash, I mean, when you get that call, I pray that everyone at some point in their life gets a call like that. It doesn't have to be about Broadway, but I hope that sometime you experience the bliss that comes from knowing that you did what you wanted to do.
Mhm.
Now, when that lovely moment takes its course, and then you're with the idea, then you start thinking about what comes with this moment.
Mhm.
All the friends and the anxieties that come with that can start making that period of time waiting pretty scary. And as excited as I was so nervous. I was like, I kind of wasn't really nervous about my ability, weirdly enough. I kind of knew that, like, I know I can dance.
Mhm.
And I really, really want to be good. I know I can be a good ensemble member. I worked and I think I have what it adds. I just wanted to be liked as a person. I think I struggled with like the Deanna portion of it all.
Me too.
I wanted
Mhm.
people to like me. And and I just found it so hard to communicate with people. I felt like I wasn't being honest. I didn't feel like I was cool enough. And the fear of being seen, the fear of, because the thing is, now you're not just with people who've done it for a long time. You're with people who like have also made it, right? So
Yeah.
like we're all here. So like that doesn't make me necessarily special, the fact that I've made it. We've all made it.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to be a star? And oh, is it crazy to say that I want to be a star? And oh, but do I sound to this? And you're just second guessing everything you're saying to people. I was just so afraid of being seen as I was. And like then it comes to like, you're auditioning for other jobs and that person's doing that. Should I have been doing that? And am I good enough to get this? And are they mad at me for this? I just was constantly so afraid of how to be until you kind of are in it. Cause that was just all like the initial
Free.
stuff, the
Yeah.
pre stuff. You're kind of there and you're like, all you can be is yourself. And it's not a bad thing to be grateful. It's not a
Yeah.
bad thing to be hopeful. It's not a bad thing to also be honest that I'm having a bad day, but I'm not making that my identity. It's not a bad thing. You're not green because you're happy to be there. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
okay to be, but also then not to say that I was just this happy-go-lucky person. Like there were hard days. And so many people commended me on my maturity where I thought that I would just be so singled out because I was so young. I think it was just really understanding that it's not really necessarily the success of the title or the theater. It's about making sure you're doing it because you want to be there and you're happy. Because no contract can make you happy unless you know that you're being fed. The fear that I was casting on it was just very shadow based. Like it actually wasn't there. Like, if I turned around and looked to see what was casting the shadow, it really wasn't that big. It
Yeah.
was just a lot of just like thoughts about, am I going to be liked? And here's the thing, you're liked by the people that you want to be liked by.
Not everyone's for you. Yeah,
Not everyone's for
you're not
you.
meant to be liked by everyone, and it's a
Right.
hard thing, especially when you're in a career where it does feel personal and you are to a degree when you're auditioning, you want someone to like you, right? Whether it's
Mhm.
but it's actually probably not necessarily you as a person, but I think it's hard to not blur those lines a little bit in our head of like
Right.
tying who we are as a person to who we are as a performer because you do put like you just got done talking about how much of yourself you're putting into your craft and into your role in all
Mhm.
your experiences. So I think that is extremely difficult. And I relate so much. And I think it's something that a lot of people who have like quote made it, like no one talks about it because
Yeah.
like you said, of looking too green or being too grateful, or
Mhm.
because we're all then just you're just trying to fit in and be enough. And then it's like I almost feel like I took a couple steps backwards in like
Yeah.
a confidence and mentality. And everyone's like, oh,
Yeah.
you booked your job. You must have everything and you're probably so confident, where it's like actually I think I actually got less confident
I
once.
couldn't be more second guessing of my steps, truly.
Mhm,
Like, I think the doubt I had to do a lot of mental prep work, and when I found out that I got this job, the one I'm in right now, for
mhm,
a chorus line, I was very sure to talk to friends who have all had opportunities like this, and I asked them, "How did you prep for this?"
mm,
Because I know my mind. And if I can front load with grace for myself, relatable stories of that, yes, it's going to be scary, but trust that you are chosen for a reason, admitting that you will compare yourself to people. Like, I had a friend, she's amazing. She's in six right now. She's the alternate in six, and she's an incredible singer, dancer, and actress, and like just a true triple threat. And we had dinner, and she just spoke so much life into me, and she's a beautiful Black woman, and I just love the community of Black women that I have actually found here in New York City as performers, because the way that we hold each other up is so important to me. And like, she spoke to me about like, you have to do you, Deanna, and you
mm,
have to be kind to yourself, and you have to trust. Like, and again, back to the whole naivete of it all, I could really jump off a cliff because I was like, I don't know what's down there. But because I kind of know how this industry works, I'm like, God, people are gonna have so many opinions, and what if people don't think I should, and what if, and what if, and what if? And she was like, you can either sit and listen to those things, or you can just be reminded of your first love, which is wanting to act and to sing and to dance. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. And it's just I love the concept, which is easier to understand than to believe, but
Mm,
other people's opinions of us are none of our business. And the
right.
weird inception and loops that, like, if you really sit back and think about, oh, I'm afraid of what someone else thinks of me, but you're actually never going to know what anyone's thinking about you, anyways. Yet it's so easy to sit in that fear and let yourself spiral in that way.
Yeah.
I think is so interesting. And I think the mental part, and it's going back to that community of like who you
Hmm.
surround yourself, and you making that choice of this person is inspiring to me and lifts me up and makes me
Hmm.
feel, not only like eases my stress, but makes me feel validated in my concerns, because it's so important to
Hmm.
like acknowledge what
Yeah.
you're feeling in that way.
Yeah.
And I wanted to touch, as we transition into the Cassie world, you had mentioned as well, you realize that Broadway is Broadway and amazing, but
Hmm.
there are things that are more important to you than having like that Broadway credit title. And you could argue, some people might say, oh, you're taking a step backwards or whatever.
Mm.
What would you say to that, of like, why do you feel, other than the obvious, like you are, of course, in a leading role,
Hmm.
what makes this such a step up in the direction you want to be going?
I think it ties back to what I'm kicking it with, right? Honesty. I'm kicking it with, what do you want, Deanna?
Mm,
And if I sit down and ask myself, what do I want to be an actor. I want to be, I want to be a well-rounded performer. And I want to feel the way I did when I discovered this
mm,
career. I want to feel enough. And not to say that I wanted to take the roles that are quote unquote easy. This is not easy, mind you. Like,
no.
this is very difficult. If I have that as my base, then whatever comes on my table to decide, if because there were many jobs on the table when I got this offer.
Mhm.
If I have a compass of honesty to go back to, that will inform the choices that I make. If that is on Broadway, oh my God, yeah, can't
Word.
wait. But if it's not, but it answers my question of, where do you want to go and what do you want, Deanna? Like, what would make you happy and what is feeding you? And like, this audition really, really convinced me. Like, the team was so
Mm,
warm. Like,
yep.
I left and I was like, "This is so cute. I don't know if I'll take it, but this is so cute. Like, this is so encouraging." That's what I
Yeah.
mean by cute. This is so
No, yeah.
encouraging. Like, I'm like leaving full and I'm auditioning.
Really trusting that, because you're surrounded by those people day in and day out. And if it's
Mhm.
again, back to another point we've been trying to harp on is like your environment is everything
Yeah.
and a title is a title. And I wanted to ask that for the people that are listening that maybe haven't yet got to Broadway or they
Mhm.
never got there
Mhm.
and wanted to. And it's like we're all in charge of dictating our own
Mhm.
success. And I think especially as performers in general, it sounds so cliche, and I remember when I was still, like, in the thick of auditioning, I was like, "Whatever, I don't care," but, like, just going for it is, like
Yeah. And don't
is
get me
so
wrong,
cool.
I think it is I feel I feel so lucky to have been among the ones that go. Like, I think that's a really, really it meant so much to me. Smash was so important. I love it. And I do believe in my spirit that I will go back. But
Mhm.
I always hope that whatever show I'm in, and again, a big believer of what is for you will not miss you. And I think what is for you also entails what will make you want to keep doing this career. If I'm going back, it's gonna be in a show I hope that's gonna make me want to keep going. Like I know that a chorus line is gonna make me want to keep going. Like,
Mhm.
I'm here and I'm it's feeding that question of, "Is it helping you?" And it makes me feel and if anything, it's making me a better performer so that I can go do this on bigger stages, to that I
1000%.
can go do this on Broadway. Because also what I learned about Broadway about being fortunate enough to watch stars like Robin Herder work is it's not just about her shine, it's about her consistency, her strength. Can she do this and can she have longevity? Like, and she can. And I think it's seeing all of the grit of the backstage that people don't see when you're
Yeah.
performing. Like and I think every stage is important, honestly. I think Barrington is an incredible company and like I want to do well for this. And not only for this stage of my life, but for me in the future, for the performer that I'm going to be in the future, whether I do or do not hit a Broadway stage again, you know?
Yeah. And, like, that integrity to, like, sit back in that and be like, "This is what I need," and have that like, just that objective lens of the longevity of it because we get so caught up in, like, "What's next? What am I accomplishing? What am I accomplishing?" And just being able to sit and, like, "What is actually making me happy?" Which was
Yeah.
something that I was kind of late to the game to, and that's why I ultimately ended up, like, pivoting in my life because I was like, "Wait a
Mm.
minute, like, why am I doing this?" And, like,
Yeah.
what is really fueling my soul in that way, and it's just, like, being so honest with yourself. I love the consistency part too, I think that's
Yeah.
extremely underrated of, like, the intensity of what it looks like. So, just for anyone listening, what is the intensity what does it look like for you today, and, like,
Yeah.
how does it compare to Broadway?
8 times a week is not easy. 8 times a week is not normal, yet it is what we are called to do. You know this as a former Rockette. Like the amount of performances we're meant to do for a fresh audience,
Mhm.
nobody deserves a less than performance. So if that is a core belief, that means I got to do a performance that is worthy of a new audience every time. And that's 8 times in 7 days. That when I and luckily like the regional contracts that I have done before I booked Smash and also the tour that I did, we did 8 shows. And so I did experience it and I was like, "Woof, okay." And again, it's back to balance and being and making sure that you make your performance and your job a priority. So whatever's taking away from that, you have to be disciplined about, okay, maybe I don't go out. Maybe I don't do this night. Maybe I chill right now. Maybe I preserve my voice. Maybe I don't sing out here. Like there's so many things you have to do because you have to make the show because it is your job a priority.
Mhm.
And especially being in this role right now where like I'm just like, well, yeah, I want to make sure I have as a consistent performance as I can. So right now it's running music in the mirror every single day. That is the hardest thing I think. I mean, there have been hard things I've done on stage. This might be one of the hardest ones. And like it's knowing that similar to like any highly trained athlete, it requires so much muscle memory to be built so that you can add stuff on top, and I'm just trying to make sure the machine knows where it's
Mm.
going,
Yeah.
so that on the days where you're like, I don't know if I can, your mind and your machine knows what to do.
Those days because you have to be able to you're not gonna show up and have 100 what your quote 100% looks like in the tank every day. It's, like, literally
Right.
impossible, so it's
Yeah.
like, how do you set yourself up for that success so you can maintain, knowing also when to preserve. Like if you have more than 100%, you don't need to give, like, it's probably better to not give 100% because then you're
Right.
probably doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
And like
It's a
knowing that
shift
balance.
game. It's like a puzzle. Like I'm always like,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, what I have to give is 80. So how do I make 100% of that 80? Not
Yes.
how do I make 80 100%? That's not possible. Like,
Mhm.
you have to be so for real. Again, I don't think 8 times a week is normal. So if that's the case, how do I give with what I have to give? Like that is really important. And I just think people focus on the glamour of everything. And I think the realities of what I've learned, especially from being on Broadway, is like these people are the hardest working people I've ever met.
Yeah.
Like you see leads on a Tony season. Like and we were working. They were working to give Tony Award winning performances in a already grueling schedule. Like that's the thing I think people don't see. And that's what I've learned. Like you have to be a leader in more ways than one.
I've never like heard it articulated in that way, in a good way of like, I think in a world stance, like a lot of performers and artists feel extremely undervalued, and it's because we are paid to make
Mhm.
things look easy and effortless, and it looks like
Mhm.
you're just on stage singing, dancing, having a good time. And it's like
Right.
one day maybe the world will know, but it's like unless you've done it or even just danced growing up or done any of it growing up, like people don't have an understanding of what actually is going into it, and clearly like the mental with the physical. I think it's just really unlike any other industry, because not to say that there aren't any that are similar, but like just to the level that it demands, not to bring down sports either, of like
Yeah, yeah.
sports are mental and physical, but they don't have to perform on top of it,
It's
right?
not there's not an emphasis on making it pretty unless we're doing synchronized
Yes,
swimming. You know what I mean? Like
which gorgeous.
which is stunning, but also like, if
Just
we're talking about
different.
performing and we're talking and it's a show about joy, like, oh my God, the days where I was like, I don't know if I can do Let's Be Bad today, you guys. I don't know. And then you do it and you're kind of like, okay, but again, I will say a lot of that is just the stamina and the muscle memory I built because there were some
Mhm.
days where I'm not there. Like it is a
Yeah.
lie to assume that you can be happy go lucky, grateful, happy did it. You can always be grateful, but like it's not realistic to expect a full tank every time. But showing up to work is something you can work on and something you can make a priority regardless. So if I'm showing up with what I have, how do I Tetris how to make sure that an audience today is getting a performance that is honest?
It's so, so, so good. I love what you said about faith and the role it plays in your life, and
Mhm.
how you choose what you believe versus what you're told, whether it's at church
Mhm.
or in life. How do
Mhm.
you feel that that has shown up then in your professional life?
Ah, man, in all the ways. It is kind of back to that thing of I am who I am, not what I do. Faith to me in God is it just takes so much pressure off of me. And I really, really, it makes the demands of this so bearable and easy to hold and enjoyable because I'm not
Mhm,
holding what makes me deserving or count. Like I'm not holding any of that. I
mhm.
really truly believe that the life that we live, whether we're living it still or we're in the thick of it or we're still performing or whatever, like we are among like a small few that get to be called artists. And I think if I can give my burdens to a higher power and I can just live in the gratitude of what it means to be carried, it makes all of the other stuff like easy to go way through.
Yeah.
Like my identity has been shifted and it's so helpful because now my life and my professional life is also intertwined with my personal life. I have so many friends who are in the same thing. My roommate is in the same industry. I love her to bits and pieces. We look the exact same. And it's like
Yeah.
being able to truly learn what it means to be happy for one another truly means because then I have to then believe in my heart that what is for me and meant for me and that love and joy are abundant things. Like you can feel what you need to feel, but you can't
Mhm.
hold on to something that wasn't for you. Like you can always make more, you can
Yes.
always make more joy and like because someone gains does not mean you didn't. Like you doesn't take away from what you have to gain. And that's just all fundamental stuff that I have now experienced, not just because I was grown up in it.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy as a kid to just be like, yep, Lord's my shepherd, live my life. But to now be in a place where I have seen God work in my life, I cannot deny that I am not here on my own accord.
The what is meant for you won't pass you, in the sense of just like, I'm choosing my beliefs. I'm choosing to believe like what is happening around me and is by a higher power, is like just releasing the expectation, which if you heard this now, you could go back and listen to the whole beginning of the episode and be like, oh yeah, like I can see how that is showing up in your mindset, because I feel like you've obviously shared all of your doubts and the negatives and the insecurities along the way, but I feel like you've just always had that like through line of, no, but I believe that I can do it, and just like being honest with yourself in that way. You mentioned trying to be okay with being seen, which that was an interesting way to word that, being in an industry that is very visible, you know, like you're on stage performing. So what does being seen mean to you in that way, and how has it helped you grow?
I saw this really beautiful quote, and I do not have it pulled up. While we were doing Smash, kind of similar to when I was just dealing with that feeling of like, oh God, I don't know if I myself, Deanna, am enough. I don't know if people like me, blah, 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 blah. Again, all in my head, because we closed that show and I had a family and everyone was like, Deanna, I've always loved you so much. You're amazing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't feel that, you know, because I was in my head. I say all that to say, when I was in the rehearsal process, I have this beautiful thing about like, it is uncomfortable to be seen. And what we do and the stories that we're telling, you have to be seen being messy. You have to be seen crying. You have to be seen being vulnerable. You have to be seen when you feel doubt and you're still called to do something and your peers are around you and an audience that you don't know is around you, or it's really intimate and it's people that you do know that are around you. And again, this idea of people's opinions and everything, it debilitated me for a while in my professional career. I think I let go of it when I graduated because, again, I was like, I don't know what's going on. But then as I learned what it meant to be in this industry, and I felt like I became someone that was pretty seasoned in that way, like I just got so like, oh God, like I can't be imperfect. And I think that is just not true, especially being in a position where, yeah, I got to stand on stage for 10 minutes by myself, dance, sing, and act, and just be at the mercy of people seeing me. I have to be okay and not afraid of people seeing me in all of my vulnerability. And this process, I'll talk about it specifically. Oh, but I guess I'll talk about, the other shows too. I think that's how you really grow, because, and Parker Essie, he's staging our show right now. I love him so much. He's been coaching me through a lot of the stuff. He says, when you fail, it's your first attempt at learning, or first attempt in learning. And I think it's really beautiful, because me messing up in front of people or me being ugly in front of people is something that has to happen in order for me to get to where I want to go. And I have to be okay with people seeing that. And it's becoming it's a little bit easier every day. And sometimes you really do have to fake it till you make it. I also love that quote, fake it till you make it. I'm scared. Okay. I think you have to be okay with being seen. And I had a friend just text me recently, it's okay. Let yourself be seen, like exclamation point. And I just took a screenshot of it and I was like, yeah, Deanna, let yourself be seen. People might love it. People might hate it. And it doesn't matter. You let yourself be seen.
It's so good. It's so good. And I can only imagine going from being in an ensemble position, like what I would be familiar with, to like being alone on stage.
Yeah.
I think it's easier in the ensemble, especially for like a Rockette performance. I'm like,
right.
Sometimes you can kind of forget that people are watching you, because you have the comfort of bodies around you, and you're like, wait a minute, until you like make eye contact with someone in the audience and you're like, oh my God, wait, people are actually watching me like physically right now, which is like a weird thing. But being on stage and speaking and singing, it's just like, that's such a deeper layer in that way.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you too, because you've talked so much about your community and your people that have like graciously helped you and been there for you. What would you say to someone who is trying to make it in the industry and they're afraid of reaching out to someone, or like how to go about that? Like, what would you give them as advice to go about it?
You have not because you ask not. Like, I really, my sister be telling me that. She's like, help is beautiful. I think naturally performers are very independent. So it's just not something that we think of because you're just, used to hustling on your own. But like asking for help is a beautiful thing, and asking people for their advice and talking to people. Some people might not want to have anything to give, and that's fine. Because I think what happens is you assume that everyone's asking questions. Not everyone's asking questions. Like if you have a question to ask the question. And if you think there's someone was asking me something about like, representation. And I was like, what connection do you have? And have you used that connection? If you haven't used that route yet, do me a favor and use that route and see what happens, because you went the natural route of where you already have a connection. That's why I'm like, yes, you could copy my steps step by step, and sure, maybe you might get the same result, but then it wouldn't be your story, right? Like, see where you are naturally aligning with, or see what's not serving you and leave it. Be so aware of your surroundings and be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with. If people are not speaking life into you, find a new circle and be okay with rolling alone. There was one other guy in my graduating class who went on to do an entirely different sector of our industry.
Wow.
You got to be okay with rolling alone for a little bit.
Yeah. And just like being back to what you're kicking with, like being okay and trusting yourself and learning what you need and what makes you happy. And I think you're so right too. It's even with this podcast, I'm always shocked reaching out to people like you or anyone. I'm always like, oh, they're never going to want to do this. And like people do, like people want to, like, especially artists, like people want to help, people want to share their knowledge and like make it better, because we all have to go through something to get to where we are, like you said. And I think it would be crazy. I mean, there probably are some people out there, but most people, I would say, like want to make it better for the people that come after them. I love, my mom always says, if you don't ask, it's a no. It's always a no. Don't ask. Like just ask. And like the worst thing is someone doesn't answer your message or like whatever, or like they didn't see it and life goes on, and just detaching yourself from all of the crazy mental gymnastics we could do.
Fear gymnastics.
The fear gymnastics. I feel like I can go like write a book after this. Like, I'm like so inspired, and I'm like I need to go have like a deep like journal session and like figure out like who I am with my life, because you have like inspired me in so many different ways, which I know you have also inspired everyone listening to this. But I wanted to ask my final questions that everyone gets asked. Obviously, hindsight is 2020, and you are where you are today. But if you could go back and give your younger self some advice, what would you tell her?
Go with your gut. Go with your gut. Yeah. I think you're right most of the time. And also, like, I wouldn't say anything because then we wouldn't be here, right? But I think I would just say go with your gut. But I think that would just end up here because I think I'm right.
That's why I always preface like hindsight 2020, and I agree, and I know you agree. Like you'll always end up where you're meant to be, but maybe you would have had a little less friction, maybe, but also maybe
for sure. And I think I say go with your gut because I think I listened to too many people that weren't me.
That's why we dissect and don't FaceTime right away anymore. It's hard.
Love my girls. Everyone that I FaceTime right now, love you so much. I think it's more just like I let people's opinions or what I thought people would have wanted or what I thought was right.
For me, I like trust people. I trust my people and I trust my circle. And it's not that anyone ever has like ill-intentioned advice or opinions, but it's just like maybe not what you're truly feeling. And it's like learning to trust yourself and listen to your gut. Man, if you had one key takeaway for whoever is listening to this to remember from this conversation, what would you want them to remember?
Oh God, I think I've said so much. I always tell myself the day I say to myself, this doesn't make me happy anymore is the day I stop. The best thing you can do in this life is be honest with yourself. And if you love it, go for it. Like truly. And you don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. I'm just so grateful for my team. Like I'm so grateful for the team that I have, my agents and my family and my best friends. Like I think that all comes because I was honest with myself. I let myself be surrounded by things and environments and people that made me feel like I could bring my honest self out. That comes when you actually start to ask yourself, what do you want?
So good. You guys, okay, I'm going to link everything in the show notes, but where could people pull out their phones right now and follow you and keep up with you and know where you're performing so they can come see you.
Website is underway. That has been under construction for a minute, so don't look me up. But Instagram, Deanna Cudjoe, just my name. I'm typically
Yay.
I'm on there and updating that the most. So if you
Yes.
want to see what's going on.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us and your like one day off you have. Make sure you comment what you love because there's got to be a million things, and send this to someone that needs to hear it, all the podcast things. But yay, thank you for being here and thanks for kicking it with us. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks.